Hi everyone, welcome to Floor Plans by Triple C 101. My name is Erin and I'm on the support team here at Floor Plans by Triple C. Thanks so much for joining today's webinar. Today we're going to be taking a look at how to create and design a floor plan from start to finish. Everything from adding items to your vision board, to building your design in 2D and 3D, and finally how to share it with your clients. Just a quick housekeeping note before we get started. Microphones will be muted for the duration of the webinar, but please don't hesitate to ask questions as we go. You should see a Q&A section on your screen. Feel free to type questions in there at any time. I have two teammates who are joining me today who will be answering questions live as we go through the session. When you first log into Floor Plans by Triple C, you'll land on your event dashboard. Think of this as your main homepage. From here, you can toggle between Card View, which gives you a nice visually appealing overview, and List View, which gives you a more condensed spreadsheet style look. You can sort your events by when they were created, when they were last accessed, the event date, or by event name. If you're looking for a specific event, you can also use the search bar. Additionally, you can filter your events by using the tabs along the top. All events shows everything created by your team or shared with you. My Events shows events that you've created or you own, and Archived Events will display events you or your team have archived. Each event includes a quick action menu, which can be found by clicking on the three dots here. From there, you can edit the event information. You can change the image, which will appear right here. You can duplicate the event, which will create an exact copy of the event. You can share it with your guest or client, and you can archive it. You also have a quick export button here, as well as an additional share button. If you know you want to jump straight into the layout, you can click on the Open Layout button and go directly into 2D or 3D mode. For today's walkthrough, I'll be working in an event called Floor Plans by Triple C 101. If you're creating an event from scratch, simply click on the Create New Event button here or New Event button here. You'll fill out your event details as well as your event location and click Create Event. Once your event is created, you'll be brought to the venue selection page, which will look just like this. Your event location will appear in the top right-hand corner, and all available venues in that area will be shown below. If your venue isn't listed yet, there are two ways to add it. You can build it yourself using our custom space tool, or you can have our team build it for a small fee by clicking on the Get Started button. Next, let's look at the vision board. This is where you'll gather all your design elements, things such as florals, furniture, lighting, decor, and more. You can view your vision board in two ways, freeform view or category view. To add an item for a category, you'll click on the plus sign. You'll see all available items within that category. You can filter your results by color, vendor, type, and more. You can also utilize the filters buttons at the top. For example, if we want to find a banquet chair that we like, we can click on the banquet chair filter, and all available items in that category will show. Clicking on an item gives you a closer look and more details. When you find what you like, you'll click Add to Vision Board. You can also drag and drop items directly into your vision board within Freeform View. If you ever want to remove an item from your vision board, hover over the item and simply click the X. Just know if you delete an item from your vision board, it will also be removed from any 3D designs where it's used. It's a good idea to add a few core items to your vision board before creating your floor plan, but don't worry, you can always add more on the fly later. Now that we've added a few items to our vision board, let's start designing the actual floor plan. On the left-hand side, we'll click on the Design button. You'll be prompted to choose between 2D mode or 3D mode. We typically recommend starting in 2D mode for basic layouts. It's great for setting the foundation of your design, and then switching to 3D mode when you want a more detailed, realistic view of your space. For today's webinar, I'm going to jump straight into 3D mode. This will give us a really good overview of how the space will look. It may take just a few moments to load. Once it's fully loaded, you'll see the entire venue displayed in 3D. You can move around the venue using your arrow keys on your keyboard or by using the on-screen navigation arrows. You can also click anywhere in the venue to move throughout the space. We also have the zoom button where you can zoom up and down. If you ever lose your place or get turned around, you can click on the center camera button, and that will bring you back to the middle of your venue. You can also change your perspective at any time by toggling between the different viewing modes. For example, if you want a bird's eye view, you'll click top down. This will switch you to a straight overhead view, which is perfect for seeing your overall layout. If you'd like to view your space as a true 2D floor plan instead, you'll click on the floor plan view and check the box that says 2D floor plan. For now, we're going to stay in 3D mode since that's where we'll be adding and arranging most of our items. Now that we're in 3D mode, let's start by adding some tables. When you open up the Tables tool, you'll notice two default tables will appear automatically. These are placeholders for the most common setups based on what you've already added to your vision board. I want to take a closer look at this guest table, so I'll click on the Edit button. This will open up a more detailed view where I can see the full place setting and make adjustments if needed. Let's say I want to change the napkin that's currently selected. I'll open up the napkin category, and from here I can choose a different style or color. I can even change how it's folded by selecting a different silhouette. If I realize there's a napkin I want to use that isn't on my vision board yet, that's no problem. I can add it right here. I'll click on Browse. I'll find the napkin that I want, and I'll click Add to Board. I'll then click Add Items. That new napkin will appear instantly, and I can apply it to my table. You'll notice that some categories have subcategories to make designing even easier. For example, under dinnerware, you'll notice that you see options for china as well as chargers. Under glassware, you can add individual pieces like water goblets or wine glasses, or you can add an entire collection at once. Under flatware, you can add each utensil separately, or again, you can add a full set if you prefer. Once you're happy with your table setting, you'll click Add to Space. The setup will appear on your floor plan and you can click to drop it in. If you'd like to add more tables using that same setting, you can just drag and drop them into the floor plan. Now let's say I want to create another table with the same setup, but I want to do a different tablecloth. That's easy to do. All I have to do is click on the three dots and click Duplicate Table. From here, I can go in and change the tablecloth and click Add to Space again. One important thing to note, when multiple tables following the same save setting make a change, that change will automatically apply to all of those tables. So for example, if I decide to change the napkin color on my white tablecloth setting to green, once I hit save, every table using that white tablecloth setup will update instantly. A question we get often asked is how do I edit just one table without changing all of them? Maybe you want a single table to seat fewer guests than the rest. To do that, you'll click on the table you want to adjust and you'll click the resize button at the bottom. You'll change the number of guests to the correct number, and only that specific table will change while the others remain the same. Now let's switch to top-down view so I can show you how to add more tables and align them neatly. If you want to add more tables of the same table type, you can simply drag and drop into the floor plan. You can also use your keyboard shortcuts to make this faster. You can click on a table to select it and then copy using your standard keyboard shortcuts. For example, Command C on a Mac or Control C on a Windows, and then click to paste. If I made a mistake or I moved something accidentally, I can also undo my last action by using Command Z or Control Z, depending on your computer. I can also click the undo button at the top. Now to keep everything looking neat and evenly spaced, I'm going to select the tables that I want to align. I'm going to click on the alignment tool at the bottom and click center align. Oop, let me undo that. There we go. Another question we often get asked a lot is how to seat guests on just one side of the table, for example, for maybe a wedding head table. To do that, I'm going to start by adding a rectangular guest table to the floor plan. By default, the table will have all guests seated on all sides, but I want to have my chairs only on one side. To adjust that, I'll click on the table and click the resize button. Here, I'll update the number of tables first to two tables. This is going to extend the length of the table and it'll give us enough space for all chairs to fit on one side. Next, I'll change the number of guests to 8. After that is done, I'll come over to the chair placement options and I'll scroll through the different available layouts until I find the one where all 8 guests are seated on the same side of the table. You'll notice that the chairs are facing the wrong direction, so to fix that, I'm going to use this rotate tool at the bottom and I'm going to rotate the table. Next, let's move on to the ceremony area. I'm going to add some guest seating. So from the left-hand side over here, we're going to click on chairs. We're going to select add chairs. And here I can select a template that best fits what I'm looking for. Maybe I want to do a standard ceremony setup with rows of chairs and an aisle down the middle. I can check or uncheck the box for an aisle. You can also adjust your guest count here. Once it's how you'd like, you'll click next. And from here, you can adjust the number of rows that you'd like. You can adjust the number of chairs per row. You can even adjust the spacing between. To make this setup a little bit more detailed, I'm going to add some accents. I'm going to add some candles along the aisles. And then I'm also going to add an aisle runner. Once that's ready, I'll click Add to Space, and the ceremony chairs will appear. If I switch back to 3D mode, we can take a look at how it appears. Let's say I want to rotate the chair slightly or maybe adjust the spacing. I'm going to click on the chairs and I'm going to select Edit Chairs. We can make our update and then we can click Save and Close. You'll notice that the chairs now have a bit of an angle to them. All the chairs are gonna, within that section, are gonna automatically update and everything will stay consistent. Now let's add some pipe and drape to separate our spaces. This is especially useful for dividing areas like ceremony, a stage, or maybe a dance floor. I'm gonna switch back to top-down view and I'm gonna go back and click on the pipe and drape category. From here, we'll just use the standard white drape. And down here at the bottom, you can select your silhouette that you'd like. You'll click Next, and you can adjust the height of the drape. Since I'm working in top-down view right now, it's better to adjust that later in 3D so that I can see exactly how tall it needs to be. I'll go ahead and keep the height as 13, and then I'll click Add to Space. By default, you'll see that it places a 10-foot segment. If I want to stretch that segment further, I can just click the end of the drape and drag it along the wall length. Now let's switch to 3D mode and we can see how it looks. You'll notice that the drapes don't fully reach the ceiling. To fix that, I'll click on the drape and I'll click on the Change Height tool. I'm going to drag it all the way up until it is at the correct height. Now that it looks perfectly aligned, let's move on to add our stage and dance floor. I'm going to go back into top-down view and I'm going to go into the stages category. From here, I'll click Add a Stage. And since I already have this stage added to my vision board, I'm going to select this one. You can adjust the length of the stage, the width of the stage, or the height of the stage. You can also add a facade as well, and then you can additionally add some stairs. I have stairs already added to my vision board, so I'm going to click on this one. You can choose the stair position and hit Done. Once you're happy with how it looks, you can go ahead and click Add to Space. Now let's say I want to face the stairs a different way. I'm going to click on the stage and I'm going to use the rotate tool to move the stage where I'd like. You can now see that the stairs are on this side. Next, let's add the dance floor. You're going to go to the All Items category and you're going to select Entertainment. We're going to select the dance floor that I've already pre-selected, and we're going to add that to our floor plan. If I need to resize it, I can click on it and use the resize tool. I can adjust the length and I can also adjust the width. Switching to 3D mode, we can see how it looks with the stage. You'll notice that the stage looks a little bit concaved with the facade, so I'm going to switch back to top down and I'm just going to adjust that. There we go. And we're going to hit save and close. Now let's add some lighting to our floor plan. To start, I'll go to the uplight section and click add uplight. I already have this uplight that I added to my vision board, so I'm going to use that one. And from here, I can pick a color. You can also adjust the angle, the distance, the height, or the width. You can also adjust the shape as well. You can have a blurred edge, or you can also create a glow spot on the ceiling. Once I'm happy with how it looks, I'm going to click Add to Space, and I'm going to position it where I'd like. If I want to add another uplight in a different color, I can repeat the same steps. Now let's add some hanging lights. I'm going to go back and go to the hanging decor category. And I'm going to select my black cafe string lights that I already have saved in my vision board. If you want to change the decor of the light or add a pole, you can also do that as well. I'm going to click Add to Space, and you'll notice that the lights are added in 10-foot segments, similar to the draping we just placed. To make them cover a larger area, I'm going to click on the light bulb, and I'm going to click the plus sign to extend the line. When I switch to 3D mode, I'll be able to see the lights hanging throughout the room. If they aren't high enough, I can select them and I can go to change anchor height for the entire set, and we can make sure that they reach the ceiling. If I want to change the drop height, I can also do that as well. Now let's add some furniture to finish out the space. We might want to add furniture maybe for the reception of the wedding. I'm going to go back into top-down mode and I'm going to go back into the add items category and I'm going to select furniture. I already have a few pieces saved to my vision board. I have a rug and I have a couch. So I'm going to click and drag and start adding that. You'll notice that this couch is facing the wrong direction, so I'm just going to click on it and I'm going to use the rotate tool to turn that around. If I want the same setup mirrored on the other side, I'm going to go ahead and select the entire group. I'm going to click the copy button and then I can paste it. Let's go back into 3D mode and we can see how it looks. You can click on the item that you would like to adjust and you can adjust as needed. At this point, my floor plan is set for about 100 guests, but let's say I want to show my client what it might look like with just 50 guests. To do that, I'm going to go to the drop down and I'm going to rename this version 100 guests. I'm going to then click on the clone layout button. This will create a new copy of the exact same layout, and I'm going to rename this to 50 guests. I'm then going to switch to top-down view, and we can remove a few tables to reflect the smaller guest count. Now I can share both versions with my client, one for 100 guests and one for 50. There are a few ways to share your event depending on what kind of access you want your client to have. If you want to send them something simple that doesn't require them logging in, you can click on the export button and then choose Export PDF. You can customize what's included by clicking on Customize. For example, maybe you only want to show 3D images and not the 2D layout. Once you've made your selection, you'll click on Export and we'll email the PDF directly to you so you can forward it to your client. If you'd rather send a view-only walkthrough, you can click on Share Link, copy the link that appears, and this will let your client view a virtual walkthrough of the space without being able to edit anything. And if you want to collaborate directly, you can use the Share Event button. You'll enter in your client's email address, select their role, and then you'll choose their permission level. For their different type, we have these different options: client, planner, vendor, or venue. And then for the permission level, we have these different types. Editor access allows them to edit all parts of the event and share it with others. Guest manager access lets them manage the guest list and seating chart. Order manager lets them view and edit rental quote details. And read-only access allows them to view the client dashboard without making any changes. Once you've chosen their access level, you would click on Send, and they'll get an invitation to view or collaborate on the event. Let's take a quick look at what your client will see on their end if they have read-only access. This is called the client dashboard. The client dashboard will include images, layouts, and notes that you've created. If you've made multiple versions, like our 100 guests and our 50 guest layout, they'll both appear here. If you want to add extra images, you can click on the image button right here at the bottom, and you can upload whichever image you'd like them to see. You can also add text boxes by clicking on this button, and you can put this anywhere on the dashboard to include descriptions, notes, or special instructions. You can also customize the banner image as well as the profile picture here. The client dashboard will also update automatically, so whenever you make changes to your floor plan, your client's view will also update. You won't have to resend anything. Next, let's look at the Guest tab. Here you can upload your guest list directly using our Excel template, or you can manually add guests one by one. For each guest, you can specify their group, their RSVP status, their meal preference, any dietary restrictions, as well as any notes. These details automatically carry over to your seating tab so you can seat guests at specific tables. When you export your event, the file will include a close-up of each table showing which guest is seated there, along with their meal choice and dietary notes. Lastly, we have the Rentals tab. If you're working with one of our rental partners, your design will automatically show which items are coming from which rental company. If you click on View, you can come into your quote here and you can adjust the quantities for any item. When you're ready, you can hit Submit Quote Request, and this will send your request straight to the rental company so they can follow up with details and confirm your order. That wraps up today's webinar. Thank you so much for joining us. We hope you enjoyed the session and found it helpful. A recording of this session will be sent to the email address you used when registering. Our team will stick around for a few more minutes to answer any remaining questions in the Q&A section. If any questions come up later, you can always reach us by emailing floorplans-support@tripleseat.com or by using the help button directly inside Floor Plans by Triple Seat. Thank you again for joining, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.